I just wanted to ask you this. Can you just give us a thought on signing Andrew and the process behind it?
Sure. Well, the reason we were interested in Andrew is uh, multiple. Number one, we've been watching him for years now and like the contributions he can make in a number of different roles. Obviously, starting out with offensively, I think he's got the ability to play in our top six. He's got experience playing right and left wing, so some flexibility there, whether he's going to play with McDavid or Draisaitl. We could try him on both lines. Certainly, he can score goals. He's had a good success doing that in his career. I think the other thing we like about him is just his ability to extend the play, to play sort of like a give and go game. Um, he's an active player. He's also a competitive player. He's not the most fun to play against. We certainly played a lot against him when he was in Calgary, and I think you notice his ability to impact the game in a number of ways. So penalty killing as well is something that he's done, and he's been good at that. So in our conversations with him, we explained how we see him helping our team. It's really the ultimate versatile player in our top six. So we don't know which center he'll mesh the best with, but we know it's going to be one of those two. We definitely see him playing in our top two lines and contributing on our special teams as well. We know he can play on the power play, so we've got flexibility there as well. So overall, I think he checks all the boxes for the type of player that is going to bring a lot to the table with our group. And I think he's a big addition to this group.
And I also wanted to follow up. Obviously, you lost a couple of players, notably Connor Brown and Corey Perry left. And I just wanted to see how you felt the roster look now a day after free agency, in your opinion.
Sure. Yeah, we did lose a couple players that were, big contributors last year, and we certainly thank them for their time with us, and we wish them well. I think a lot of it was a function of the salary cap having to have some flexibility. I think we weren't going to be able to meet their demands for fitting it into our puzzle. So we do have a few new faces coming in, but I think that that's not a bad thing. I think I've always said it's nice to have some new faces to come into your group. They bring a bit of a different energy. Like they weren't here last year when we made the push and the year before. So I think they're hungry to get that far in the playoffs and to be able to play in the Stanley Cup final. So I think having some new voices as well, I think it's good. But the players that are gone are we enjoyed having them here, but I do think we're turning the page forward and looking at some different combinations that we can have now with some new players. I do think that's a positive, and it's something we're trying to build on. Is a little bit of newness to our group, and I think that'll help get us going next year.
Thank you, Stan. We'll go to Reed Wilkins.
Thanks, Jamie. Good morning, Stan. You mentioned Mangiapane being able to play on the top two lines. And when you look at your top six, is that sixth forward someone internally who might get an opportunity, or are you still going to have to look outside the organization to round out those top two lines?
I would expect that probably to come from within. We've got a number of guys that played in that role last year. Both Kapanen and Podkolzin did for stretches. I do expect Matt Savoy to be on our team and to play a role. We got David Tomasek, who's played a lot of wing as well as some center. So I think we've got a number of internal candidates that I think deserve the opportunity to show us what they can do. So I wouldn't be expecting to add any more players to play in that part of our team. I think if we're looking for anything else, it might be another body for more like the bottom six. But I think we also have Adam Henrique, who he's mostly played center here, but I think he's someone that we could use on the wing if we wanted to try him on the top two lines as well. That's an option for us. Now that we have Frederick in who can play center, I think that gives us some flexibility. And Freddie can certainly play on the wing too. on those top two lines. So to give it a bit of a different look. So I think we've got a lot of options. I think that's the one thing I like about this mixture is obviously we know that Nugent Hopkins and Hyman are and Mangiapane. There's three of the four wingers to play in the top six. And the other one, we don't have just one person we're hoping can fill it. We're going to try some different looks, and I'm sure that the way Chris likes to mix and match, I'm sure we'll get a bunch of different players get the opportunity, and then we'll find out which one is the best fit as we move forward.
And I guess my other question, I know you were asked before, but now it's been confirmed about Glenn and Dallas. Is there anything you can share on the timeline and or the process for naming a coaching staff for 25-26? Thanks.
Sure. Yeah, that is something that we have to spend some time on now, and I haven't had the chance to focus on that over the last 2 days. We've been really full attention on the free agency being yesterday, and it was a long day to get us finally to be able to close that deal with Andrew. So starting today, that's top priority is trying to round out our coaching staff. So I've had brief conversations with Chris about that, but we're going to spend our next few days here putting our attention to that. So I won't have anything on that in the near future, but obviously it's a priority now that we've gotten through the free agents, the beginning of the free agency. And I think we essentially have the key components to our team. So we're going to turn our attention to the coaching.
Thank you, Stan. Before we go to Mark Spector, just a reminder, if anybody has a question, to please use the raised hand function. With that, Mark Spector, go ahead.
Hi, Stan.
Hi, Mark.
How would you characterize the goaltending market over the last week or so?
How to characterize it. I don't know what word you're looking for there, but it's been interesting to see. There's certainly been some movement around. The goaltending is always it's just a very unique situation because there's only two per team. So, it's a bit of shuffling of chairs. Haven't really been much movement on the number ones around the league. A lot of movement filling in on the number twos. So, we had some conversations, but nothing really made any sense. So I think we are where we are now makes the most sense for us and continue to have conversations. But as far as, we're doing our job and talking to teams and agents, but nothing there really made any sense for us to move forward on.
And I notice, you're talking about a newness and you got some new players and maybe try some new combinations. Is as a team that's, the top of your teams largely run the same way, like Connor McDavid plays with Hyman and Nugent Hopkins generally, and you've been trying to find wingers for Draisaitl. I guess my question to you is, after a couple of years of being really, really, really close, but not quite there, is there a feeling that you need to step back and, not wholesale changes, but maybe just move the pieces around a little bit?
Well, I think I just went through that. We are going to have some new faces. I think our defense is stable. That's the one thing that I feel very good comfort in because we've got the same crew coming back, well, without Klingberg, but I like the group we have. The 7 defensemen we have all played very well for us last year. We never really had that whole group together because we didn't add Bowman and we had some injuries. But I think starting the season without questions on our defense is an important one because I do think your defense really drives your team. If you're struggling to defend and to move the puck out, it doesn't really matter how good your forwards are. You end up having a hard time getting much going as a team. So we do have some sorting out to do up front. That's true. But like you said, the key pieces are there. And now it's just trying to find the right combinations. And a lot of that's going to be the coaching side and understanding how they want to run the team. Like there's a few different ways to run it. We've seen Nugent Hopkins play a lot he's done great at center as well. So that's an option if we want to do that. And that gives us a different look. That gives us, 3 probably the best three centers in the league if we choose to do that. But he's played so well on the wings. So I think knowing that we've got those anchors in the forward group, but we do have some new faces that are coming in. I actually think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a negative. We're not just coming back with the same exact group of players and the same blueprint. It's going to be a new team, and I think that's the one thing I talked about last year when I started was there's a tendency for everyone to always look back to the previous season and try to just replicate the things that went well. And I guess I would challenge people to try to just turn the page on the last season and look forward to next year. It's going to be a different group, particularly up front, but not like a wholesale new group. I think all the key players are back. It's really finding, the right mixture, but I think that's what makes it exciting. And I think for that reason, we're in a really good spot right now.
Thank you.
Hey Stan, just talking about defense, I just maybe if you can give us a thought on the Evan Bushard signing. Obviously the number seems like you're talking about that number being in that wheelhouse, but I was just want to ask you about the term. It was 4 years. I think some people were a little surprised that it was an 8-year term. Can you just give us a thought on that signing?
Sure. Yeah, that was an important signing. We haven't talked about that yet, but Bush had a tremendous season, tremendous couple seasons. He's emerged as a very important player on our team. So getting him signed was critical. I guess the negotiations, an 8-year term was really never in the cards. I think for the agent indicated that wasn't something they thought made sense for them. I think it's really a function of salary cap and where that's going. We certainly know the next 3 years it's going up considerable amounts, and we do know what those numbers are. And I think we don't know where it's going beyond that, but there's a projection that it could continue to rise. And I think at that point, the players' side, from what they've been saying, is they weren't interested in a number for an 8-year deal would be so high that it wouldn't really make sense for anybody. So we certainly were hoping to do an 8-year deal, but that was never really in the cards. So I think on that side, the deals get made when the two sides meet at something they're both comfortable with. So they were never interested in pursuing 8 years. So, at that point, it's not like we can force them to do it. We have to try to still get a deal done. And after some back and forth, we finally got there.